speakers lined up for today. First, we have Colonel Lee from West Point, and this is his alma mater, so he's extra special for us today. And doing our closing remarks is an instructor here who is also a retired general, Professor O'Mara. And we have Chancellor Massenberg in the back, and he's going to do our welcoming for everybody. We're very fortunate that he really helps out our organization in every which way possible.
Good afternoon, everyone. Wait a minute, when I stood in the back of the room, I saw the back of heads. So I know there are people sitting out there. So good afternoon again.
Good afternoon.
And welcome to today's ceremony. I want to thank Michelle and our Student Veterans Organization for organizing this important event to commemorate those young, brave men and women who served our country valiantly on in the battlefield. You know, in attending this program, I'm honored to be here with you, as each of us are here to celebrate again this important occasion. We're here today to honor our service members and to remember their sacrifices that they have made and the courage it takes to defend honor, duty, and country. We're here today to honor our heroes and sheroes, to remember their achievements, their courage, and their dedication, and to say thank you for their sacrifice. Thinking of the heroes and sheroes who join us in today's group today, and those who are here only in spirit, a person can't help but feel awed by the enormity of what we encounter. We stand in the midst of patriots and the family and friends of those that have nobly served. I'd like to ask the service members and veterans who are here to please stand. Our faculty, staff, and especially our active duty and student veterans. Let's give them a hand. Thank you all. Thank you for answering the call to duty. You have made our armed forces the most respected in the world. Now, I'd also like to ask the family members of those service members to stand. We know you have lived through some difficult times and often taken the heavy load to keep the home fire burning. Thank you for what you've done. Those family members, please stand. I'm already standing. The service members we honor today came from all different walks of life. And one of the things that's important about Rutgers Newark is that we're #1 in terms of our diversity, 17 years now running. And our interim chancellor now says that's a dynasty. That's something that really, truly can be proud of. And that's who our armed service veterans and active duty military personnel represent today. People throughout the country will gather today to remember, to honor, and to pay tribute to those who have served our country. Our gathering is just a small spark in the flame of pride that burns across the nation today and every day. It's not a lot, but it is one small way we can honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice so that we can live in freedom. Your presence here today and that of the people gathering all across America is a tribute to those brave men and women. It is a way to say that we remember. From the soldiers who shivered and starved through the winter at Valley Forge, to the doughboys crouched in the muddy trenches of France, to the platoon who patrolled the hazy jungles of Vietnam, and the young men and women patrolling the mountains of Afghanistan, we remember and honor them all. So again, thank you all for attending today. God bless you and your families. God bless our troops, and God bless America.
Well, good day, everybody. How are you?
Hello.
Chancellor Massenberg, thank you very much. General O'Mara, very nice just meeting you. And for all of you that stood up, thank you very much for your service. I appreciate it, the country appreciates it. Appreciates it. Those that did not get up, I would assume you're associated GI Bill? How many folks have the GI Bill there? All right, we got a couple out there. I've got two doors. This is my wife over here, by the way, my wife Laura. She has traveled with me for the last 28 years. Just got done doing 28 years in the Army. I'm headed back to Washington, but I have another job down in Pentagon, but I think I'm going to stop. And I'm getting ready, I think I'm going to get ready to go back here in the next day or two and put my retirement paperwork in, which is quite amazing. So I'm a little nervous, but I think it's time to start the next phase of my life. But before I do that, I really, I can't do speeches. I'm a guy, if you don't see the passion I have in me, then you know what, the folks that, the kids here that are trying to find out what you want to do for your life, you got to find that passion. I was 17 years old. I graduated from Rutgers North. The best thing ever happened in my life. I'm the only colonel in the Army that has never been accepted to university. I got on the waiting list. There's a guy here by the name of Dr. Martinez. And he invited me to come on up here. I came to him. I grew up in Elizabeth, about 20 minutes from here. And my freshman and sophomore grades really weren't too good. I was a jock. I played any sport that was out there. I didn't study. And my junior and senior year, my grades were good. He said, okay, you obviously have the potential, but why should we take a chance on you here at Rutgers North? I said, sir, if you take a chance on me, I guarantee you I won't fail you. So I went home and said, Dad, I'm good to hook. I need $6,000. He said, we're poor. You found $6,000. I said, okay. 3 months later, he came up. He said, hey, I got this old colonel that I'm working for. He said, you should try ROTC. I said, what is an ROTC? My hair was down to my shoulders. I went down to Rutgers North. I walked in there. Some major was talking to me. Yeah. And he said to me, he said, so son, what do you think? You want to join ROTC? I said, sir, I'll give you one question. I said, let me ask you one question. What is it? I said, if your son was sitting here, would you tell him to join? The guy just like looked at me, like I was crazy. And he said, yeah, I think I would. I said, okay, I'll try it. Well, at that point in time, my GPA here at Rutgers North was about 3.5. And he said, if you sign here, we'll give you a 3-year scholarship, which meant I had to give back 4 years after due. I got done at 21. I came back. I did education delay. My degree was in political science and history, and I got a master's in public administration right upstairs here. So I spent 6 years here before I went on active duty. And my wife and I, we got married. We're getting out after 4 years. We're done. There is no way in the world I was making a career out of the Army. And our first tour was in Germany. And back in my day, because I am a little old, I'm 52 years old, we had the Russians on one side and we were on the other. The world has changed in the last 25, 30 years. But what has not changed is the wonderful sacrifices of the folks that all stood up here a little while ago. And you can't stop thinking about that. I believe we live in a safer world. At least I hope so. Hopefully I gave the last 28 years of my life because of that. I think if you take a look at World War I, that was the war that was going to end all wars. Anybody who studies history will realize that's not true. And then in World War II, we lost over 100 million people. 100 million people died in that war. Okay, both civilian and military. But I do believe, even though we got some hot spots in the world around here, I do believe we live in a safer world. Reason being, I think it's because we have a globalized society. Everybody talks. These little things, you're taking pictures of me or you've got videos, but you know, if anything happens in this world, it goes spiral all across all the different continents. I mean, that's how closely connected we are with everybody in this world. And so from that perspective, it makes me proud. I will also say, there is a difference between those that serve and sometimes the civilian sector. Think about it. We have 300 million people in this great country of ours. 300 million. 3.2 million wear a uniform. That's 1%. 1% of your country wears a uniform. So I'm a minority. And I will also tell you that when I wore my uniform, I used to go down to Rutgers, New Brunswick. That was where ROTC was. I used to get out of my car. I didn't want anybody to see me in uniform because I was embarrassed. Think about it, being a 17, 18-year-old kid having a uniform on campus, people are looking like, who is that weirdo? And I did. I would run into the class. I'd get there. And one day I came home and I was, like I said, we didn't have a big home, but I had a big long hallway. And I was in there with my buddies and I was making fun of the uniform. It's a true story. I was like, yeah, I can't believe I wear this thing. It was old. Who served in Vietnam? We used to have the old green fatigues. And I'd sit there in that room and I was like, oh man, I'm embarrassed to this, to that, to that. And all of a sudden I heard this guy coming down the hallway. And I knew that. I knew who that was. That was my dad. The man got in my personal space about an inch away from my face. He said, son, if you ain't proud of wearing that uniform, you take that damn thing off. He says, because hundreds of thousands of Americans have died for the freedoms that you have. And I will tell you that no Army soldier today is prouder to wear their uniform than Jeff Lee. And I learned that lesson from my dad. So make sure you realize that on this very special day for all those Americans that gave their life for us. Okay? I'll also tell you, take that 1%, only 1/3 of a percent wears an Army uniform, like Michelle's dad. As a matter of fact, I asked her, I said, she goes, oh, he went to West Point. I said, oh, I'm stationed up there. I said, what's his last name? She goes, it's Bishop. I said, what branch was he? She goes, artillery. I said, I think I know your dad. So what would make me come all the way here to Rutgers University, meet the young lady that called us to help me get down here, and I know her dad. And that's quite amazing. That's what the military does for you. So tell your dad I said hi. I'll also tell you, the military is like the stock market. You got some peaks, you got some valleys. What do I mean by that? I'm stationed up at West Point. I'm a deputy commandant. My job is to run the day-to-day activities of the cadets up there. There's 3 things they have to do, just like you all. They got to get good grades. If you don't pass academically, you're not going to make them. Second thing, you got to be physically fit. Our profession is a dangerous profession. It is what it is. Whether it's combat or getting up every day, 5:30 in the morning for the last 28 years, I've been doing PT. It's going to be 11 below zero. It could be 112 degrees. I'm working out. And after a while, it takes a toll on your body. And of course, I've had 2 deployments. I deployed in Desert Storm in 1990-91, and then I went back to Iraq as a battalion commander 2002 to 2004. And I was in the Pentagon when the Pentagon got hit that day too. And I lost 2 guys in my office, and I lost my best friend, Kip Taylor. So I've seen certain things in my day, so it kind of keeps it all in perspective of those folks that serve. But I won't lie to you, sometimes you get a little disgruntled. The last couple of months with sequestration, furloughs, and what's going on with the government, the Republicans, the Democrats aren't talking and fighting. And I finally said, man, this is about the first time I've had my uniform on. I just don't feel like I'm all that as proud as I used to be. Well, up at West Point, we got this award called Sylvanus Thayer. Anybody know who Sylvanus Thayer is? Okay, he's the guy that founded West Point. Okay, West Point is the oldest Army post in America. It was founded in 1778 by a guy by the name of George Washington. Washington founded West Point because when we had the Revolutionary War, we had to stop the British from coming into New York City. Because if the Brits got into New York City down the Hudson River, you probably all would be speaking a little bit different funny English right now. Okay? So that happened in about 18. Hey, we got to create an officer corps. So he's the guy that created West Point. Well, each year we give out awards since about 1956. Awards have gone to guys like Ronald Reagan, Walter Cronkite, Buzz Aldrin, some very famous people. In the last 2 or 3 years, last year was given out to Secretary Gates, who was our Secretary of Defense, and this year it was given out to Madeleine Albright. Last year, Secretary Gates got up there and gave a speech. In the middle of his speech, he said, every time I sign the order to send America's sons and daughters into harm's way, and that's the only way that I, as a soldier, or someone as an airman can go to conflict, the Secretary of Defense must sign the order. He stopped, he got choked up. He said, I felt as though I was sending my own son and daughter, and you knew it was heartfelt. You could not hear a pin drop in that mess hall, which is an absolutely gorgeous mess hall. This year, we brought Madeleine Albright in. Madeleine Albright's 76 years old. Madeleine Albright teaches down at Georgetown University, I believe, in international relations or public policy of some sort. We got done there. She gets up. She's 5 foot. 5 foot. She had to stand on a box to get out and be able to talk into the microphone. She gets up and she says, hey, you all have honored me. First female Secretary of State for us, United States of America. So just think about what she has done, what the doors she has opened for a wonderful female. I have 2 daughters. I tell them, don't ever let anybody say no to you. You go and try and be whatever your goal is, you go get it. Well, she gets up there, 76 years old. I mean, smart as a whip. I thought she was talking so fast, I couldn't believe where all this energy was coming from. She said to me, today you have made this one of the most special days of my life. She says, you also, today, as I've looked down the list of all the names of the people who got the Sylvanus Thayer Award, I am closely associated with the 2002 winner. Everybody's sitting there like, okay, we're actually talking about. Is it Walter Cronkite? Colin Powell? Well, you know who it was? It was the American soldier. She goes, I am closely tied to the American soldier, and I've been so my entire life since I've been 8 years old. So I'm looking at this lady like, what the heck is she talking about? She goes, When I was 8 years old, I had to leave my country of Czechoslovakia. And I had to go to Europe, I had to go to England. My father, lucky, was an ambassador, and I was allowed to leave the country. And as we sat in the bunkers, as England was getting bombed by the Nazis, we had the sirens. And when the sirens heard, it means you said you could come out. And you'd have conversation, you'd hear, hey, Joe's coming. Joe's coming and he's going to free Europe. Anybody want to know who Joe is?
G.I. Joe.
Yes, sir, you got it. So, Americans came, swept across Europe, gave Europe their freedom back. She goes back to Czechoslovakia, started her life again. About 2 years later, she has to leave again. The Russians. The Russians came, and her dad was lucky enough to come to America. She said to me, she says, you know what? She goes, let me tell you what the difference is about being in Europe versus what's being in America. Because everywhere my family went in Europe, they say, you're an immigrant when you go back. But in America, they ask them, you're an immigrant when you become a U.S. citizen. So that night, that woman, just for a brief 15, 20 minutes, made me realize, because I started to lose hope for some reason, because we're all humans. I'm at the twilight of my Army career. I was feeling a little down on myself, but a 76-year-old, 5-foot woman put it all back in perspective of what it is to serve as an American. And I know there's a little bit of an age group between us all, especially the ones up here in front. But you know, at 17 years old, I came to Rutgers University saying, what in the hell am I going to do with my life? And if you told me that I would come back 28 years later, stand in front of the same young men and women that I went to school with 28 years ago, I'd say, I wouldn't be in uniform. If I was, we might as well smoke that bomb, because there's no way that was happening. Now, I'm not saying go smoke a bomb. But it has been, you know, sometimes you sit there, and how many people have you met in your lifetime that have said, I have loved every second of my life and my career. And you're looking at a guy that has felt that, because I had the luck to have a dad come home one time and say, you need to go try ROTC. So whatever you all do, as you try to get your education, strive to get and be whatever you can be. Hopefully some of you decide to put a uniform on, because it's a wonderful, wonderful life, as these gentlemen and ladies back here have stood up so graciously. So I'll end it on the last note. I will thank you all again for providing the freedoms that these folks up here have. This country is great because of the sacrifices that you all have done, and the hundreds of thousands of others that are floating around this great country of ours. You honor me for letting me come up here and speak to you just for a few minutes. Hopefully I left a mark on you all. Rutgers University is where it all started for me, and I would not be where I am today without the great luck of Dr. Martinez, who said, okay, we'll take a chance on you. So thank you very much. God bless you all.
Well, there's going to be comments, and I have to thank you, and I'm very impressed with all the people who showed up. This is great. Veterans Day. It's a wonderful thing. I always make the point, many of you know this, some of you don't. This isn't Memorial Day, this is Veterans Day. This is for everybody. Okay? It is anybody, in any time frame, would happen to put a uniform on. Now, my history is a little bit different, but it's pretty much the same. Fairly lost youth, okay? Came one Friday night, and I said, 2 years of college, you know, I really don't like college, it's no fun. And they're going to draft me anyway, and I need the GI Bill to get through. So I think I'll send them a letter and ask them to draft me, because they're going to draft me anyway. Why wait? And boy, within about a week, my friends and neighbors found out where I was, and I was drafted. So drafted is, the definition of a draftee is somebody who goes kicking and screaming into the military, didn't want to go, raise your right hand and says, I will do what you tell me. Okay? Anyone. Okay? Veterans. Veterans. And veterans aren't just infantry guys or combat arms people. Veterans are lawyers, veterans are cooks, veterans are truck drivers, veterans are everybody who does all the kinds of things that are needed to make an operation work. All of us, veterans. And I think at the end of the day, it's just one metaphor that goes on. You guys have checking accounts? Write checks every now and then? I'm sick of this might not work for you young people. You got debit cards, and you got usernames, and you got passwords, right? But what a veteran does is he writes a blank check to the United States government, to all you people. And he says, do with me what you will. Blank check. Take it all. And for some veterans, the government takes it all. You wind up dying, okay? Other veterans wind up getting wounded for the rest of your life. Other veterans maybe have some mental issues. Other veterans certainly gave up 2, 3, 4 years of their lives, their youth, if you will. And you go to crazy places. And you tend to go for the good of the service, which is to say, the old joke is the recruiter signs you up and says, I'm going to make you X, Y, and Z. And then as soon as you're done with basic training, you find out X, Y, and Z. We don't need that. We need a truck driver. Get over here. Right? Be a cook. Be this, be that. Paint these rocks. Do that. All these things. Right? For the good of the service. That's that blank check. You owe me, I'll do what you tell me for 2, 3, 4 years. Whatever. That's a veteran. The cooks, the bus drivers, everybody. Right? And that's why I celebrate veterans. I love you all. Thank you very much.